Hi there, this is Steve Spurrier. You can join University of Florida Hall of Famer Shane Matthews and also the two-time SEC Player of the Year every weekday as he brings you all you need to know about the Florida Gators, including news, analysis, opinions, and some of the biggest names in sports. You can find him on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. Or you can watch him live at 8 a.m. on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitter.
Good morning and welcome to a Friday edition of PodUp with Matthews in the morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. Large enough to serve you, small enough to care. I want to thank the head ball coach, Stephen Orspurrier, for our introduction there. He did a tremendous job. He just came back from a Alaska cruise with some of his kiddos before football season starts. Don't forget the second year anniversary of Spurrier's Gridiron Grill kicks off on August 14th. You can get your tickets at spurriers.com. You missed it last night. I don't know who won the game, quite honestly. I watched a few plays of the Cleveland Browns and the Jets. It's always good to hear Mike Tirico on the call. I think he's the best there's ever been when it comes to broadcasting. Maybe JC was better than Mike Tirico.
What?
JC, you're on the Titanmore hotline. Are you better than Mike Tirico?
Well, I mean, come on. They didn't invite me to the British Open, but
he can. You know what makes him so good is he can do. It doesn't matter what sport it is. He is excellent. And
you can listen to his voice all damn night long. He's just easy to listen to. I met him years and years ago in a locker room. Now, I can't recall if it was a basketball or football post-game press conference, or I should say interview session in some locker room. It was either a locker room or a media center, but I did meet him as a small guy, a little guy, not very tall, but very, very, just extremely
about your size? Was he about your size?
I actually think I might be taller than this guy. I'm 5'8.5", QB.
Okay.
But Mike's great. He's great to listen to, and you're right. He can do anything. He can.
You know what makes him so good? All right, I was looking at something on my phone here. All right, JC, did you watch any of the game last night?
Well, no, I didn't watch it. Cleveland won the game 21-16, but Zach Wilson looked pretty good for the Jets in a backup role. For Aaron Rodgers, neither Rodgers nor Watson were playing, and we knew that. There's no point to it. And then, of course, they have, 365 days during the year to get that stadium ready, and the lights went out in the fourth quarter.
They did?
They had light malfunctions. They had to stop the game. So this stadium, which is, they play one game there. I think maybe.
Well, the USFL played their championship game there.
Okay, well, it's not heavily used, I wouldn't think, but the lights malfunction. Nevertheless, Cleveland 21-16, not a big deal. I will say this, though. One of the things I was reading about in the NFL as we go forward, that for the fourth straight year, QB, the fourth straight year, Joe Burrow will not get a full preparation, let's say, for the season. From the pandemic to this ACL rehab he had, to the appendectomy he had, to the calf strain that he had, it's just so much bad luck for poor Joe. He's really had some bad health luck.
Well, he turns out to be pretty good, regardless of missing time.
Well, and that's the thing is that he doesn't have a full preseason.
So you know what that means? All that preseason crap is overrated.
Well, that's why I think they went to 3 games, and I think one day they'll probably end up just doing 2 games. And, I would think, QB, knowing the NFL the way you do, would you agree that it probably would take maybe all of about 2 weeks to get a team fully ready to play a season, or does it take longer because of rosters? And if it wasn't just because of rosters, if they just said, well, here's our 53 guys, give us 2 weeks, and we'll be ready to play. Would that be about right, or would it take longer?
You probably need. I don't think you need preseason games because really think about.
No
right
preparation.
now
you have to have practice. You have to have training.
Yeah, I think, but you don't have to have games. College don't have games, and the reason I say that is, and in the NFL, people are going to say, well, we need to evaluate our players. Let me tell you something. In my 14 years. I'm trying to think how many guys go to training camp, JC? 80? I don't even know this.
Yeah, they cut about 20.
Then they cut down after 2 weeks. So my point is, you already know out of your 53-man roster, I bet every team right now can tell you who those 50 are going to be. There may be 3 or 4 spots open. And because when it comes to preseason, and Mike Tirico or somebody said it last night on the brief portion that I watched, it's almost like a rule that there's no blitzing. They're lining up in basically 4-3 or 3-4 defense and playing zone, a little bit of man. There's nothing exotic in preseason because they just want to see who can play and they don't want to get anybody hurt. They don't want to show anything. So long story short, I don't think they need any preseason games. I think you need, just like college, you have about 4 to 5 weeks before you play your first game.
Yeah.
And you can evaluate your players doing that. So that's my spiel.
Okay.
All right. Don't forget. Well, I'll ask Steve Palazollo from Pro Football Focus, who's coming on after you. I'll ask him what he thinks about that. Do they even need preseason games?
I never watch a preseason game. I mean, I don't sit there and watch it. I don't even watch a preseason game.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just not interesting. I don't care about tryouts. Tryouts are for the coaches and the staff.
Well, like I told you, it doesn't matter. Like I said, I don't care if a quarterback, the third quarterback for whatever team last night, threw for 200 yards in the second half. That means absolutely nothing because majority of those guys ain't going to be playing in the season. They're going to get cut. And it's so vanilla. So anyway, we got a couple Facebook Lives brought to you by Mellon Law. And Tony, the comedian that Tony is, somebody said Chris Collinsworth's going into the Broadcasting Hall of Fame. Yes, he is. Congratulations to him. He says, I'm next. Yes, I am next. Good thing I got a late start, Collinsworth, on broadcasting, or you'd be in trouble, buddy.
Oh, there you go.
John says Trey Dean led the way for the Jets with 8 tackles. I forgot Trey Dean even played for them.
Wow, Trey Dean. That's pretty cool. That Thompson Robinson guy played pretty well for the Browns.
What did he do? Run around all over?
No, I think he actually completed 8 out of 11 passes or something. He had a touchdown pass, maybe. So it's tryouts. Bro. But it's okay. Hey, listen, football, people are starting to think about it. Yeah, I had people on the golf course yesterday talking to me. Who do you got any games you like on the first week of the season, Johnny? And I've got 2 friends who are out there right now in Biloxi, by the way, and they sent me the pick'em sheets, or I should say the Beau Rivage. See this? The Beau, you can't really see it, but the Beau Rivage early lines on college football. And I've got one for you. I've got the Sunshine State Parlay for you on August the 4th before the season. Are you ready for the Sunshine State Parlay? Here it is. The Sunshine State Parlay would include the Florida Fighting Gators, and I'm betting this. I will be Venmoing money out to my friends in Biloxi, one of whom will be on a golf trip at the end of the month in Salt Lake City with me, and the game, because I'm going to the game. But the Sunshine State Parlay includes the Florida Fighting Gators at plus 7.5 points, because I am not convinced that Cam Rising is going to play in this game. There's been very little talk about it, which blows my mind. But I'm thinking about less than 8 months after ACL, that guy cannot be 100% unless he's some sort of freak. And so I'm going to take the Florida Fighting Gators getting 7.5 points, along with the Florida State Seminoles getting 3 in Orlando against your beloved LSU Tigers.
Well, I don't know about the semis, but I do like the Gators in that. You're not going to convince me there.
3. I like Jordan Chavis 3 points running around like an idiot. I'll take it.
All right.
That's your Sunshine State Parlay. Sunshine State Parlay.
All right. I like it. Reggie wants to know, where's JC shooting 84 this weekend?
Reggie, I tell you, it was a good week for JC. JC put it on some people. I found this putter. I found this. Okay, you say it. You just asked our 6'6" friend who played with me 2 days ago. He shot 73. I shot 74, and I have this putter now. This tailor-made spider semicircle half oval putter. Oh, the mallet was rolling them, baby.
I thought about a month ago you're criticizing people with mallets.
Well, if I see balls going in, my opinion changes. And so, anyway, listen. Thank you for the prediction, Reggie. It's been a good week. I'll just leave it at that. I don't like to brag, but I will tell you that it was a good week. And listen, I've got to take a few days off. I'm going to the beach. QB's going to go play golf for 3 straight days at UF. So.
Here we go. Andy on Facebook Live, brought to you by Metal Law, says, according to reports yesterday, Cam Rising's practicing with limitations. Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. That's the thing. I mean,
because a lot of his game is running the football, but just think, because when people come back from injuries, especially leg injuries, you got to be careful with them. And yeah, you put limitations on them, but you can't. Think about you dropping back, JC, in the pocket. Your right guard misses a block, and somebody blitzes through the A gap, and Cam Rising with a quick, subtle twitch to try to get out of the pocket, bam. It's not strong enough.
Just like that.
It's not ready. And so I will be shocked if he plays.
Well, but QB, it's not just that. I think mentally up here, and I don't know this kid, and I'm not this kid, but mentally, you can't tell me it's not going to be in his mind when he's got to be in the pocket. He feels pressure, right? And he's either going to move up in the pocket or try to scramble out of it. And somewhere in his brain, it says, be careful or just go down. He's not the same player mentally, I wouldn't think, unless he felt 100%. And let's be honest, he's not 100%. This matters to me, and that's why this line is going to go down from 7.5 to probably 5 or 6 or, even less as we get closer and the uncertainties around Cam Rising come around. And the bet that I got to also send money for is the Florida Gators over 5.5 wins.
I've already told you that.
But now here's the trick about that, folks. You got to remember, it's not an even money bet, meaning if you put $20 on it, you can't win 20 by betting 20. You have to bet 25 to win 20, something like that. And it's called minus 145. So that means $145 would have to be bet for you to win 100 if you bet that over. And by the way, Reggie, there it is right there. You can see USGA Gin 6.5. There you go.
He plays one golf course and one golf course only.
No. There's plenty of golf.
John's question is, how much does it affect Utah with Cam Rising not practicing with the first team? Also, they play Baylor in week 2 and a tough Pac-12 opponent in week 4. He's probably getting some reps on air or what have you with the first team. He's a really good player. I just don't know how you can come off an ACL tear. And what was that? It was in January. Was it January 1st still the Rose Bowl?
It was the Rose Bowl.
Yeah. So we're looking at it's been 8 months.
No, it hasn't.
I'm going to call Dr. Farmer.
It has not been 8 months. It's been 7. And by the time we get to the game, it will be 8. And he's got to practice, right? So he's going to be running around on it with 7 months in between. And
again, like I told you, the nothing you can't simulate game speed. And you're going to keep him out of making subtle movements. But anyway, we'll see. We'll see what it's all about. Ruse Ogre State Farm Office is a team of dedicated insurance professionals ready to help life go right with the right insurance options for you and your family. Visit ogreinsurance.com and give them a call at 352-240-1779. We got JC right now, second part of today's program. We got Steve Palazollo, who heads up Pro Football Focus. If you got any questions, folks, start shooting them to us. Also, we got some text on the Titan Lamar text line, which is 352-353-7465.
As another tractor goes by again, I can barely hear.
We can't hear you. We can't hear the tractor. You're fine.
All right.
At least I can't. This is from our good friend Daryl over there in Green Coast Springs. So, good morning, guys. I see JC has his Jaguars hat on.
Oh yeah.
Super Bowl or bust for the Jags.
Well, look. How about just playoffs or bust? Win the division or bust? The schedule this year is much harder, Daryl. And listen, it's okay. It's okay. I think the Jags are going to be better. I think they will. With another year under his belt, Trevor Lawrence is going to play better. He's going to have more options. Evan Ingram is signed, ready to go. I think defensively, hopefully they got better through the draft. We'll see. I don't know. They need to be better defensively. But I got a black and a teal hat. and I'm going to St. Augustine this weekend, so I'll be all jagged up, ready to go on the beach. And we'll see. I think it's going to be a great year. It's going to be a fun year. Kansas City is the season opener. Can't wait. No, season home opener. They will play at, I think, the Colts to start the season.
Chris from Cottondale on the Titan More text line says, JC is talking about himself in third person, shaking my head. Shane, have you been out to any more practices? And if so, what have you observed? I only went day one. I've been out of town the other days. I may go out there Saturday. Saturday's practice is open to the general public in the swamp. So if you're in the surrounding areas, I don't know what time it is. I'm sure it's online. Go check it out. Tony says, JC, are you playing the St. Augustine Shores Golf Club?
No, not going to make that one.
Is that not a good track?
Tony, let me put it to you like this, Tony. If that course isn't worthy of 4.5 hours of my time, it's not going to happen. I'm not going to play it. And I know what's good and what's not good over there on St. Johns County golf links. And they've got a nice little muni over there on Highway 207. But I go to a place called Marsh Creek on the A1A, and it's just fine. Thank you very much. That's where I play.
All right.
What does it mean by third person? What does that mean? I'm talking in the third person. What the hell does that mean?
Hang on a second. I'm reading something.
I don't know what he's talking about.
Gene says, doesn't the Crowstone Grounds crew know that JC is doing a live show? No, they don't respect you, JC.
Well, why do they have to? There's 18 holes, right? He's mowing 10, and it always happens during the podcast. I don't get it. You got 17 other holes you can mow, and not just the damn lawnmower, the guys with the blowers and then the neighbors with the lawn crews. They have to get out before 9 o'clock because it's so hot. It's just mayhem over here in the morning, my man. I'm just going to fight. Good
on our Peachland Dental PGA picks, the Wyndham Championship, you picked Sam Burns, Jordan Thomas, and Austin Eckroat. I took Billy Ho. Yeah. I took Ludwig Adberg, however you pronounce his name, and Sunjay M. How are our players doing? I haven't looked. I'm looking right now.
Your boy Ludwig.
He shot 4 under yesterday.
Yes, your boy Ludwig. And I had a friend from Mississippi who likes to shoot turkeys from the beach in Orange Beach, Alabama, go, JC, you're a genius. You took Aberg. I said, no, it wasn't me. But Ludwig went low yesterday. We call him low Ludwig. He's 4 under.
Billy Ho shot 3 under. So I'm tail.
Well, right now, first round is going your way. How did you know this about this guy Ludwig? I mean,
you don't know his story, JC?
I haven't read about it, no.
Well, if you follow college golf, which apparently you don't, but we did win the national title. So they have what they call the PGA. They have rankings of all the college kids. It's called like PGA University or something. So he was the #1 ranked college golfer. So he automatically got on the PGA Tour, played at Texas Tech. And Fred Biondi was the #2 player. So he's exempt. Like 2 through 10 on that list is exempt. They're all playing on the Corn Ferry. I guess it's the Corn Ferry. I can't remember what they call it. Hooters, whatever it is. But Ludwig Ergberg, he is a stud, dude. And
I just like Ludwig Aberg.
However the hell you pronounce it. He's a good player.
Aberg. Well,
Buddy says third person as you're referring to yourself, JC.
Ludwig, well, I did. I talked about my handicap, so he's right. Ludwig shot 5 under on the front 9 yesterday. So if you think he was nervous about anything, he had.
Why would he be nervous? He's been playing golf his whole life.
Well, I mean, first pro event. 5
No,
under.
he's played in multiple events.
Oh, yes?
Okay. He's played in majors. He played in the damn British Open.
Okay, well, I thought you just said he was in college. Okay.
He played in the national championship meet out there in Scottsdale, Arizona, a couple months ago, and he turned pro.
Okay. Yeah. Well,
come on, JC, start following golf.
Okay.
Don't be that guy.
Don't be that guy.
Don't be that guy. All right, we got a couple texts here on the Titan MR text line we need to get to. Says, JC, can you give us another report on your running backs in the National Football League? This is from area code 404.
Well, that would be Atlanta. And listen, the fact of the matter is that these guys are underpaid, I think, as a group, but not all running backs are the same. And I went nuts over the fact that as part of a franchise tag system, these running backs are barely paid more than kickers and punters. And yesterday, the Colts signed somebody for $10 million. Okay. He was a defensive player. I don't even know his name. It's an African descent. And that's the same amount of money as Saquon Barkley is getting, or almost as much. And Saquon Barkley accounted for 40% of the Giants' plays. Not all running backs are the same. Josh Jacobs is 49% of the Raiders' plays. In the NFL, it is about mismatches and creating a system that gives you an advantage.
Can I inform you on something?
There are 3 ways you do that. Go ahead.
You talk about mismatches in the NFL. You look for mismatches on Friday nights at high school games as well, just so you know.
But they don't
that's football.
Right. But in the NFL, to me, it's the most important thing are 3 things: formation, variation, and scheme, skill, and speed. And I don't know why that makes you laugh so much, but that is the truth. That's how you create mismatches and how you get an advantage to win the football game. And when you're on the defense, who do you look for when you play the Giants? You look for number 26. Who do you look for when you play the Raiders? Usually it's the guy, Josh Jacobs. I forgot his number already. Number 8, 6, whatever. He was a great running back at Alabama. And these are the reasons why these guys should maybe get a little bit more money when their contracts come up. And franchise tagging a guy at $10 million, listen, it's a great life. You're getting $800,000 to $900,000 a weekend on that salary on average. You can't turn that money down. Le'Veon Bell did, and it ruined his career. And sitting out a year is not an option for a running back, dude, because they'll find someone else.
You better get it while you can, because
that's what I'm saying. And so they're pissed that their position as a position is barely above kickers when it comes to franchise and tagging. And I don't know. I mean, Quentin Williams of the Jets is getting $96 million. How many touchdowns does that guy score? How many does Quentin Williams score? With the Jets, how do you win games? You got to score touchdowns. Why? Because that's where you got Aaron Rodgers. My God, the Jets are so shitty. I mean, Zach Wilson couldn't throw it. He hit every other player in another uniform last year when he played for the Jets. So they had to go find Aaron Rodgers because they were desperate to try to score points. And that's what I'm saying. The Giants are nothing without Barkley. They know it. I know it. You know it. Everybody knows it. But they only paid him $10 million, $11 million. Listen, they offered him 2 years, $26 million. He should have taken that. How he doesn't take that, I would have fired the agent right there. Because after paying about $3.5 million in state and local taxes and federal taxes, playing in that dumpy ass state, New York or New Jersey, you're still coming out with $9 million a year net or $8. And I'm sorry, but that's pretty good life. 2 years in a row, guaranteed. Yeah, I'll take that. I mean, I know he wants Ezekiel Elliott money, and Derrick Henry is complaining about $12 million not being enough. Kamara makes 15. It's ridiculous, but this is business too. So that's how it works.
Okay. Gabe says here on Facebook Live, brought to you by Melon Law. He says, do y'all think Kyle Trask will start in Tampa? We're going to ask Steve Palazollo from Pro Football Focus in the second half what he thinks there. We'll get his thoughts on all the quarterbacks, some of the rookie quarterbacks, get his Super Bowl picks, things of that nature. We'll ask him JC's question about running backs as well.
Well, I'm right. It doesn't matter what Steve says. I know I'm right about this, and I know I'm right about the 3 things you need to be successful on offense. Because my career playing offense in football was so noteworthy.
I just love. Give me that first one.
This makes it formation, variation, and scheme. Okay. Big words. Don't let big words scare you, QB. It's all right. We're in the huddle here. Okay. Nobody. It's okay. Formation, variation, and scheme. All right. I got that from Ron Jaworski. And it's true. It's absolutely 1,000% true.
Where did you see Ron Jaworski? What is he doing these days?
I read things, QB. I'm a reader.
No, I'm talking about who does he work for now?
Well, maybe the NFL Network. I'm not sure exactly.
Okay, but I think he's very good when he used to remember that show? I think he did it with Merrill Hodge.
It's the NFL matchup show, and it was excellent.
It was great.
Yes, and I will tell you, these 2 guys weren't the greatest NFL players on earth, but Trent Dilfer falls in this category as well. Even though he won a Super Bowl, we all know why he won a Super Bowl. But Trent Dilfer, Merrill Hodge, Ron Jaworski were some of the greatest guys explaining the game to people that were of novice, who were trying to learn the game. Those guys can explain it so that the guy on the street understands what the heck's going on. And I think those were three of the better. I mean, Jaworski was
bringing up Trent Dilfer. So I would like to know what your thoughts are. Are you going to wager a lot on UAB this year?
I don't know what they got, but I like UAB as a football program.
He's the head coach there, right?
Yeah, I mean, I know Clark was there, but Trent Dilfer took that job, so that's it.
You didn't know that.
UAB gets more with less than anybody. What were you gonna say?
You didn't know Trent Dilfer was the head coach there, did you?
No, but I know formation variation.
Now you know.
Formation, variation, and scheme, QB. I want you to think about that while you're playing golf today, okay? Lining up. How you line up. How you execute. That's what matters. I'm bringing this.
I'm glad you taught me that. I'm going to try to use that in the XFL this year. I've never tried to out-scheme the defense, ever.
You got to have – gee whiz. When you guys showed up, the defenses were so idiotic relative to how to stop your offense because they never did it. And there were guys running around that were so wide open, you'd had to been blind to not be able to hit them because they didn't know how to defend you guys. They didn't know. I saw a video of the Florida Gators playing Georgia back when Lindsey Scott, back when Herschel Walker. It was the most boring football of your life because it looked like a modified version of a high school game because all they did on 3rd and 5 was run. That's all they did on 3rd and 6. They didn't ever Pat Dye in Auburn when he had Cribbs, Fullwood, and Bo Jackson. My God, they wouldn't know what a forward pass was if it hit them in the face. Of course, Pat Dye was not sober when I talked to him before the game during the walkthrough. But I asked him, I said, hey, Coach, if you're tied with the game, if you're down 1 point to the Gators with 10 seconds left to go in the game, will you go for 2 and try to win the game or kick the extra point? He looked at me and goes, and he was bombed. And he had his drink with him. He said, well, what would you do? I said, well, they don't pay me to make that decision. I'm asking you. He goes, I guess I'll figure it out if we get to it. And so he wouldn't even tell me. But what he was going to say was, I'm chicken shit. I'll kick the extra point and go for the tie here in Gainesville. And they didn't throw the ball. That's my point, is they did not get it. And now you guys show up in the 90s and everything changed. The whole world changed when it comes to college football, because that was some of the most boring college football I ever saw in my life, was watching 80s college football when all they did was run the ball with Buck Bellew, and it was awful. It was awful.
Tighten on our text line. Brad in Huntsville, Alabama says, JC, who do you think will be the Alabama starting quarterback?
I think it's going to be that kid from Notre Dame.
You think so? I don't. I think it's going to be Ty Simpson.
Well, I would be happy with Ty. I don't know who's – look, they asked Nick Saban yesterday. They said, Coach, what do you got for us? He said, there's nothing to report. Don't even bother asking. We'll let you know when it happens, which means he doesn't know or he's not telling. And if he does know, I would say this. It's not going to be Jalen Milroe if these other two guys are a little more effective with the pass. And
well, I would go ahead and tell you they're better throwers than him.
Yeah. So
I ain't even seen him play.
Simpson's from Tennessee. Good kid, highly recruited. Look, here's the thing. Remember about Alabama. Nick Saban won 5 of 6 national championships with a first-year quarterback. 5 out of 6 with a first-year quarterback. I listen, don't discount Alabama. Everybody's got LSU winning the West. Please, go for that.
I don't know if they do or not. I can't remember who the media picked. I thought they picked Alabama to win.
Okay. I thought it was LSU. I thought it was LSU because of the great Jaden Daniels. Remember, they still lost 4 games last year, okay, everybody? They still lost 4. He had no idea what to do against Florida State in that game, if you remember. Neither did he know
that was game 1. They were bad. Not just him. The entire team was bad that game.
I mean, their routes, their formation variation was awful, and their scheme was bad. And they couldn't complete a pass against Mississippi State. Zach Arnett locked them down. And so don't think LSU's just going to waltz through the West. It's not happening, folks. Take that Sunshine State parlay. Florida plus 7.5. Florida State plus 2.5. Walk to the bank, load up. You're going to do just fine. You win 3-1. And I think that's the way to play. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to get off this show. I'm going to get on this little thing right here. I'm Venmoing some people out there and buy Luxy because I forgot to give them cash. And I'm going to have those tickets. I'm going to be in Salt Lake City, and I'm going to wave it around like this. And when the Florida Gators cover, didn't say they're going to win, but when they cover, I'm going to be all garnet gold on Monday night. Sorry.
I don't see it. Joseph says, do you think we punt it from the other team's 40 on 4th and 2 or go for it from our 25 on 4th and 7? I'm not sure what that means.
No, the answer is on 4th and 2, he's going for
it. Yeah. Mark says, drink another Red Bull, JC. Drink another Red Bull. Are you drinking Red Bull, JC?
No, today it's the Coupang Strawberry Kiwi. So good.
Is that making you very healthy?
Well, it's better than that sugary crap that I had, the V8 stuff that I promoted a year ago. That wasn't good. So much sugar. I got to get off. You got to get off the sugar, folks. Get off the sugar. And I'm not sure what this other chemical sweeteners are, if they're bad or not good. Nobody knows. It's kind of like smoking back in the 40s. They didn't know. Although common sense would say if you shove a bunch of smoke down your throat, probably not a good idea for your internal organs. But they didn't think that way. As far as I'm concerned, this artificial crap is probably okay. It's been tested. But I can tell you this: you get a lot of sugar in you, bro, you're gonna have some issues. You're gonna have some.
All right. Well, don't drink. Don't eat a lot of sugar this weekend. We got to let you go, JC. Because we're going to get somebody that knows about the NFL.
Formation
Steve
variation is king.
That's
Ask him about that.
That's JC joins us on the Titan MR hotline. When we come back, we'll be joined by Steve Palazollo from Pro Football Focus. You're watching and listening to PodUp with Matthews in the morning. We want to take this moment to thank our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Our premium sponsors are Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Meldon Law, the only official injury and accident law attorneys of the Florida Gators. Peaceland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte.
Campus USA Credit Union.
QC Kinetics, live pain-free with QC Kinetics. Dave & Buster's, eat, drink, play, and watch. Our gridiron sponsors are Auto ER, UF Bookstores, Celebration Point Town Center, Silverback Concrete Co., Ruse Ogre State Farm Insurance, Doreen Wibby, Realtor Caldwell Banker, MM Parish. Our touchdown sponsors are Adams Ribs, Gator Dominoes, Celebrate Primary Care, Gator Bait Media, Okido America, Style Cuts, Ironwood Golf Course, Big Mills Cheesesteak, McDonald's of Gainesville, 84 Lumber, Aver and Smith, Dowling Signs, Baker's Sporting Goods, Silver Q Billiards and Sports Bar. If you're interested in promoting your business on the show, call Freddie at 352-284-3733. If you like what we're doing here, make sure to follow us and support the businesses that support us.
Hi there, this is head ball coach Steve Spurrier, and I'm here with my wife Jerry and our good friend Sherry Houston, the executive director of the Ronald McDonald House Charities of North Central Florida. We're thrilled to announce that the 2-year anniversary of our restaurant, Spurrier's Gridiron Grill, is coming up on August 14th. Last year, we had so much fun celebrating with everybody that we're doing it bigger and better this year. We're hosting a special dinner and celebration that will include a chef's choice of premium buffet or your favorite Spurrier Gridiron Grill menu, including a filet mignon carving station, shrimp and grits, short rib risotto, wonderful seafood options, and many dessert options also.
Like my famous chocolate chip cookies.
Proceeds being donated to the local Ronald McDonald House.
Thrilled to once again partner with Coach Jerry and the Spurrier Gridiron team to raise funds for the Ronald McDonald House, benefiting families and children experiencing medical emergencies.
Spurrier's Gridiron Grill will be donating 11% of all of our money from food and 66% of drink sales to the Ronald McDonald House.
Go to spurriers.com right now and reserve a ticket before they sell out.
We'll have wonderful food, special guests, and a limited edition of the 2nd year anniversary collector's coins, as well as prizes like a dinner with me and Jerry. We couldn't have become one of the busiest and most successful restaurants in the Southeast without your support. So we want to celebrate with the most important people of our team, and that's you.
I want to celebrate with some of those cookies. Do you have any of those?
Sure do. Right here for you.
Oh, thank you.
Welcome back to the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Spurrier's Gridiron Grill in Celebration Point is the flagship restaurant of the Florida Gators, the hottest restaurant in Florida in the heart of Gator Nation. That's Spurrier's Gridiron Grill. Check them out at spurriers.com. Going to the Titan MR Hotline, and we're joined by Pro Football Focus, Steve Palazollo. Good morning, Steve. How you doing, man? Appreciate you taking the time because I know y'all are extremely busy right now.
Yeah, doing great. Thanks for having me.
Let's jump right into it. Let's talk about the rookie quarterbacks last year. We have a text on the Titan MR text line from Greg in Brentwood, Tennessee. He wants to know, who do you think will be the best rookie QB out of last year's class?
Yeah, I mean, last year we really saw, Kenny Pickett have some extended time. We saw Brock Purdy. And you know how difficult it is sometimes to separate the quarterback from their environment. Obviously, Brock Purdy had an awesome environment in San Francisco to be able to step in and basically take them to the NFC Championship, the Niners. I do think Kenny Pickett looked pretty good, though. But my question with him, so I'll go with Kenny Pickett, but I think I need to see more from him in the red zone, but also just that system. They kept Matt Canada, their offensive coordinator. I think they've got the playmakers. I think they've got, I think they have the players around Pickett that he could have a nice season, but they need more quote unquote easy stuff. The stuff that Brock Purdy got from Kyle Shanahan in the 49ers. So I like Kenny Pickett. I think he's got an opportunity to succeed based off the playmakers, but they got to do a little better job offensively. But I thought he did a nice job distributing the ball and getting the ball downfield a little bit more than the Steelers had in recent years.
I'm going to piggyback on that. Who do you think has the best year out of the rookies this year, that QB class?
Yeah, this year is going to be an interesting one. I mean, my instant reaction is probably Bryce Young. I liked Bryce Young the most coming out. I thought, the only question to me was the height. I thought the anticipation and accuracy and just natural playmaking that Bryce Young had was the best. I know from a fantasy perspective and maybe from a production perspective, it could be Anthony Richardson, right? Because I think the NFL is definitely in a better spot now than they were 10, 15 years ago, where you're going to lean into Anthony Richardson's rushing ability. I think Shane Steichen is the right guy to develop Anthony Richardson, and I think he will have a pretty good season for the Colts. Yeah, so I think if they lean into it enough, he might rush for 800 to 1,000 yards while he's working on his footwork, while he's working on the accuracy and trying to tidy up some of the more important things a quarterback needs to do. But obviously, we all know the talent is there for Richardson, so I wouldn't be surprised if he has a really productive season as well.
Andy asked on Facebook Live, brought to you by Mental Law. He's a Chicago guy. Do you think the Bears have put enough pieces around Justin Fields to be successful this year?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I still think there's another year of development needed for that entire roster. I love what Ryan Poles has done because he came in and they had no draft capital and they had no money. And he basically got rid of players to open up money. And he traded for more draft picks. I think that the 2-year process there has been good. Adding DJ Moore, I'd love that trade down. If the Bears were not going to draft a new quarterback, trading down to number 9, drafting Darnell Wright at tackle, but I think more importantly, getting DJ Moore as a receiver, that was absolutely the most important thing. I think the offensive line gets a little bit of a help. The playmakers get a little bit of help. There's still probably another year of another offseason away, I think, from really competing there. But I think it's better. Having at least a wide receiver one with DJ Moore is going to help quite a bit. And the trickle down across that depth chart, having Darnell Mooney, and will be guys to throw to. Fields is a dynamic playmaker. Now it's time for him to take the next step as a passer. So, yeah, I think there are pieces for him to take a step and then maybe one more offseason away from the Bears really competing for the division and, playoff positioning.
John wants to know, how big of a year is it for Jordan Love, and how do you think the Packers are going to do with him at quarterback?
Yeah, this is the year for Jordan Love. This is his opportunity, right? I mean, it's funny how in sports you get sometimes these storylines that repeat themselves. And, the fact that the Packers had Aaron Rodgers sit for a couple of years and, it's Jordan Love's turn to just, come in and will he play like the next Hall of Famer? Probably not, but will he be a good starter? That's going to be the question here. So this is the year. He looked really good in relief last year in that Eagles game, Sunday Night Football. That's pretty much all we have. We've seen him in the preseason, has to do a better job taking care of the ball, but I think we've also seen Jordan Love has the arm talent to get the ball down the field and create big plays, and he's got some intriguing pass catchers with Romeo Doubs, and Christian Watson was an absolute explosive playmaker. They're young on offense, so I'd expect some growing pains. But I think if you're a Packers fan, seeing what things look like around week 7, 8, 9, heading into the second half of the season, if they could start pulling it all together, I think you feel a little bit better about Jordan Love in his future. So I think he'll eventually have a solid year after maybe a slow start.
Yeah, for sure. All right, we have several texts all revolving around the Tampa Bay Buccaneers quarterback situation. Obviously, people are wondering if Kyle Trask can overtake Baker Mayfield. Your thoughts on what might happen at that position?
Yeah, I mean, all the recent rumblings are in Trask's favor. Trask was just, fascinating at Florida because you knew that he just didn't have any experience, and he was sitting there as a backup. And every time he went in, it looked a little bit different, right? And then eventually has that really nice season, gets him drafted in the second round. But he was off to a bit of a slow start, I think, in his career. I don't think his preseason work with the Bucs was great, for whatever that's worth, right? It's a little up and down. What can you glean from that? 50 dropbacks or so over the last 2 years? But if he's developed, right, a lot of development happens in the offseason and leading into year 3 here for Trask. I think he has an opportunity to start because I think we know what we have in Baker Mayfield at this point, which is a lot of question marks. I was a big Baker Mayfield fan coming out. I think he's disappointed a little bit. He's been so inconsistent, and that inconsistency is what you kind of expect. Even last year with Baker Mayfield, with the Panthers, getting off a plane with the Rams and having a really nice Thursday night game and then kind of regressing back. So much inconsistency in Baker Mayfield. And if you're the Bucs, I think you are in a rebuilding mode, and you want to know if Kyle Trask can be the guy. So I think he'll have an opportunity. I can't wait to see him in the preseason, but I wouldn't be surprised if Baker Mayfield starts at the beginning of the year, but Trask does take over at some point.
Steve, I want to get your thoughts on this whole, running back situation in the National Football League, about them being underpaid. Give me your thoughts, because for so many years, I think all the so-called draft experts and the general managers didn't think you needed to draft a running back early, so to speak. But what do you think is going to happen at that position?
Oh man, it's a tough one. I mean, I'm a believer that the numbers say that the running back is the most interchangeable position in the NFL. I think as football fans who have watched football our entire lives, it's tough to separate running back value in just the National Football League versus every other level of football that we've seen. I don't believe running backs are interchangeable, in high school, in Pop Warner, or even in college. I think they're extremely valuable all the way up. But when they get to the NFL, all we've seen is second contracts almost never work out because of injuries and because of the inability to predict the production of a running back. It is so dependent on everything else. We know the quarterback depends on his receivers and his offensive line, but the quarterback's still the driver of his own production, right? Patrick Mahomes will overcome other things that other quarterbacks can't overcome. It's very difficult for an elite running back to overcome a bad offensive line or a bad scheme. So all that said, I think the NFL's leaning into the right things, which is, hey, you can't pay running back second contract. If you draft them high in the first rounds, they end up becoming so overpaid versus their peers. It's a very difficult thing to do because there's other high value positions. What's going to happen? I'm not really sure. I think running back should lean into maybe not so much big paydays, but maybe longevity. The fact that the NFL is going into running back by committee and saying, hey, I don't need to get paid a ton, but I want to play 10, 12 years in the league. I'm okay with having 120 carry seasons and continuing to stay healthy and always get a payday rather than being out of the league in 4 or 5 years where maybe some of those top backs get worn out. So All that said, I think the NFL's done a lot of research and a lot of math on this, and it's tough to justify the running back value. And unfortunately, nothing against the running backs themselves. It's just all showing up right now, and when a lot of good big name running backs are kind of out there on the market.
All right, we talked a little bit about the Bucks. Let's talk about another state of Florida team, the Jags. Made a late season run. They got all the pieces in place, it seems like right now. They haven't added Calvin Ridley, who's going to be outstanding. I think Doug Peterson is one of the best play callers in all of football. Jags, do they win their division, and can they make a run? I mean, it's the AFC. It's so damn hard over there. But what do you like about the Jags?
Yeah, they should win the division. I like a lot of what they've done. I mean, the Trevor Lawrence, of course, is the X factor there. After week 9 or 10 last year, he was, one of the top 2 or 3 quarterbacks in the NFL based off PFF grading. I think we all saw that on the field. Trevor Lawrence just looked different in the second half of the year. Oftentimes, when you look at splits like that, sometimes they don't project going forward. But with Trevor Lawrence, he was this top prospect that we had finally expected this type of play from, a guy that put the team on his shoulders in the second half of games and had to go, make comebacks and make big time throws, and he did it. So as long as Trevor Lawrence is still that guy, the Jags are winning the AFC South. Now the question is, okay, how do you compete with the Chiefs, the Bengals, the Bills? How do you compete with the other teams that have some of the best quarterbacks in the NFL? Well, it comes down to Trevor Lawrence and Doug Peterson, right? Taking that next step. I love Calvin Ridley quite a bit. I think adding him to the mix and, giving a compliment to Christian Kirk and Zay Jones and everything, that's going to be awesome for what the Jags can do offensively. Ridley's an awesome route runner. But I think it comes down to, can Trevor Lawrence go from, okay, he started to look like the number 1 overall pick. Now he's got to look like that top 5 elite guy. And then defensively, they need all of their young playmakers. Josh Allen heads into year 5. Trayvon Walker, number 1 overall pick. He needs to produce, not just be an athlete. Devin Lloyd, another first-round pick at linebacker. All of those guys need to come together, start playing more consistent on that side of the ball. They showed flashes last year. If the Jags can do that, I think they win the division, but they need a lot of other things to come together to start competing, to get to the AFC Championship.
All right, the Dolphins have a lot of weapons on offense and playing in a tough division now. What do you see with the Dolphins?
I'm real excited about the Dolphins. I really also wish that Jalen Ramsey hadn't gotten hurt, because that was one of my favorite storylines this offseason was Jalen Ramsey going to Vic Fangio's defense. 2 of the biggest offseason additions were Fangio as defensive coordinator, Jalen Ramsey at corner. Tua, if he can stay healthy, he's another one of those guys where the production was off the charts last year. I think he played good, not great, but the production was off the charts because when you have Tyreek Hill, you have Jalen Waddle, you have Mike McDaniel calling the plays, much like the Kyle Shanahan deal in San Francisco. Hey, they did a great job creating open throws. That's what's going to give the Dolphins an opportunity. So if Tua stays healthy, and if Tyreek Hill stays healthy, there's rumors that maybe he's lost half a step, or he can afford to lose a half, maybe a full step, but he's special with his speed, right? He plays at a whole different level than everybody else in the NFL speed-wise, and we see the production that he adds to an offense. So it's going to come down to health, I think, for the Dolphins. If they stay healthy, they are going to be competitive. They gave the Bills a game in the playoffs with Skylar Thompson at quarterback. If Tua stays healthy, the receivers stay healthy. I like the defense. The defensive line is underrated. Vic Fangio's in there calling plays. The Dolphins are they're going to make a run here this year. I really believe it, as long as they stay healthy.
Yeah, it should be fun to watch. All right, one last question. We'll get you out of here. We appreciate your time. Robert from New Orleans wants to know your surprise team and your Super Bowl picks.
All right. Well, surprise team. He's from New Orleans. Do I go Saints here? Because I think the Saints. Well, I think the Saints are going to win the NFC South. I think Derek Carr being a free agent. It was funny because if the Jets had signed Derek Carr, it's like, yeah, whatever. That's going to be tough to compete in the AFC. But in the NFC, Derek Carr is the best quarterback in the NFC South. I think the Saints have a championship caliber defense. They just have, over the last couple of years, as long as some of their young defensive linemen develop. Very good secondary. But Carr throwing to Chris Olave, who I believe will be a star. Rashid Shaheed as a deep threat was awesome last year. Who knows what they get from Michael Thomas. But I think they've got some pieces in New Orleans for the Saints to win the NFC South and maybe do a little bit of damage. I haven't made an official Super Bowl pick yet. But I'll just make something up here. I'm from Cincinnati, so I'll go. I'm not from Cincinnati. I'm living in Cincinnati, from New England, but I'll go with my hometown Bengals to go back to the Super Bowl. I'm going to go Chiefs, Bengals, or Bills probably, but I'll go with the hometown Bengals going to the Super Bowl against the Eagles again. So Bengals, Eagles, Super Bowl we almost saw last year, and we'll say that Joe Burrow and the Bengals pull it off for the hometown team over here.
Interesting. All right, Bob just sent a text here on the Titan MR text line. He says, Steve, can your staff go back in the archives and give us a PFF grade on Shane's play?
Do you want that, Shane?
No, I do not
send
want
me your
that.
best game. I mean,
Yeah,
I was a minor league. I was a minor league pitcher, and all my terrible stats are still sitting out there on the internet and everything. So, you need some of that too. Your stats are still there, but we got to give you a PFF grade. I'll go back and do that.
Yeah, don't waste your time. Hey, let everybody know how they can follow you on Twitter and check out all the stuff that y'all do at PFF.
Yeah, PFF_Steve on Twitter, and then the PFF NFL podcast. That's what I do three times a week, sometimes more. So just search PFF NFL podcast anywhere you get your podcast.
Good stuff, man. Appreciate your time, Steve.
Yeah, thanks, Shane. Appreciate it, man.
That's Steve Palazollo from Pro Football Focus joining us on the Titan MR hotline. Silverback Concrete's a family-led team of heavy concrete specialists that build commercial structures with unrivaled quality. Silverback Concrete, you stand on it, we stand by it. Norris says Johnny Football is on Netflix. Urban Meyer's Gators are up soon on Netflix. Yeah, I think the Swamp Kings, I think it's called, comes out August 20th, somewhere around there. Somebody's going to have to let me know how that is. I don't have Netflix. I think I'm the only human being in the world that doesn't have Netflix. I just can't sit around and watch stuff unless it's a sporting event for some reason. But we want to thank JC for giving us his insight on, what do you call it? Formation variation and scheming. And then obviously Steve Palazzo. They do a great job at Pro Football Focus. Boy, they grade every play of every player. And whether it's right or wrong, I meant to ask him. I think I've asked him before. They're probably just grading on what they think should happen, but they don't know what the coach is telling that player on those plays. So how do they defend? Let's see here. Andy says, Shane, who was the most vocal rah-rah locker room guy you ever played with in the NFL? Oh, man. Well, I think it was my third or fourth year it's probably been my fourth year in the league with the Carolina Panthers. Kevin Green, Auburn. I think he passed away. Great guy. He was very vocal. I'd have to think about that one. But John said, I'm sure someone will let me borrow their sign. I wouldn't even know how to do that, John. So anyway, I hope everybody enjoyed this week's programs. If you have a business out there that would like to advertise with our program, shoot us a message. We'd love to have you. But it's go time, folks. I'm sure many people that are watching this will go out to the swamp on Saturday to see the Gators in action. And I'll be out there. I'm going to get out to some more practice. I'll give you all an update, especially